Welcome back to Captain of Industry, where in the last episode we built this magnificent nuclear reactor, and we're actually already using it nicely because I just built this huge thing here, which also means that everything here has restarted. So we're definitely, at the top here. Now, if I want, what I can do is potentially also restart some of these, right? Like, let's restart one, and then we shouldn't have too much problem. But yeah, one thing also I forgot to tell you in the previous episode is how much this whole thing cost. We're talking about more than 4,000 of the red parts and the purple parts, the tier 3 and tier 4 construction parts. Then you have 2,000 of the tier 2 and just 400 of the tier 1. Plus almost 2,000 of the concrete, more than 1,000 of steel, almost 3,000 electronics. This is a huge cost. But yeah, instead, what I just built over here is this, which is also not that cheap. We're talking about almost, basically 1,000 of the tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4, plus a bit of other things. Now, what is this whole thing going to do? Well, I think you can see it already over here, is we're going to create a lot of fertilizer. As I said at the end of the last episode, now that we've increased a bit my population, and actually we should probably continue to increase it, to be honest, because look at this here, we need a bit more food. And while of course in the future we're going to reorganize fully this food production to make it perfect, in the meantime what we can do is just give it some fertilizer. Now there is 3 types of fertilizer. Look over here, you can see the stored fertilizer, and as I said, there is 3 types. So the level 0 is the fertilizer called organic. This you can reach the max fertility of 100%, so this is over here. We cannot go further than 100% with the fertilizer organic. Also 1 liter or one kind of unit of fertilizer organic will increase my soil fertility by 1%. Right? So if I'm at 64% and I want to go to 65%, that's going to cost 1 of these fertilizer organic. Versus as soon as we move to the fertilizer tier 1, then we can jump to 120% if we want. And we can also, each unit is going to give us double. It's going to give us plus 2% instead of 1%. And last but not least, we have the fertilizer tier 2, which doesn't actually increase the replenishment by that much. It's 2.5 instead of 2. It's still pretty nice increase, but it's not doubling anymore. But it does enable you to go to 140% of max fertilizer percentage. So as I showed you over here, right, this is going to be the storage. Like we have an irrigation tank, we're going to have store fertilizer. And then here, this is where you decide where you want the fertility to go to, right? As how high do you want it to go to? And of course, your production is going to increase with this, right? With that productivity or fertility boost. So yeah, we're going to create a lot. And as you can see, it's going fast, by the way. So that's great to see. I don't think we've created that much fertilizer organic yet, because I'm probably low on compost. We've been throwing it. Oh, here it is, some compost. Remember, we've been throwing the compost to the ocean. But yes, if you want to really start at the start, you have the organic fertilizer over here. Well, there's actually 2 ways to make it. One is with a lot of compost, and the other is with a bit less compost and more dirt. It's always the same amount of water, 24, and it's the same output, 96 of fertilizer organic, so make sure you use a pipe level 2. But yeah, this first one will use 72 of compost. The second one over here will only use 24 of compost and add some dirt, 48. So in my case, we're actually using the second one because I really don't have that much compost. We're getting mostly of compost through some of these productions, like here the sludge, we're getting a bit of compost, and potentially we can get a bit of compost on some of these here. So you could also create, if you wish, a compost production, like you have a farm dedicated to create compost, but it feels a bit overkill to me. I don't feel like this is a good idea because the organic fertilizer is actually not needed. We're going to use it. As you can see, this pipe goes there into these 4 chemical plants or chemical plants level 2, but it's actually not needed. It is better, but it's not needed. Why do I mean? Because there is 2 of these recipes, right? They will always take 36 of oxygen, they will always take 24 of ammonia, but if you have fertilizer organic level 0 or tier 0, you will create 90 of fertilizer tier 1, versus if you don't have it, you will create 60. So again, it's not like required, it's just, it's better. So we're trying to get some, right? As you can see, I'm doing some over here. And by the way, again, this is 96 and this only requires 60. So this is also why I only need 2. But it's not required. What's really required is to have some ammonia and some oxygen. So we're gonna need to create that ammonia and that oxygen. And this is what a lot of this over here is all about. So let's start at the other chemical plants there. Now instead of 4, we have 8. Because if you remember, this is 24 of ammonia. We're going to create 12 with each of these, right? And by the way, again, you can see those consumption. This is almost 1 megawatt for each of them, which is why my consumption has just jumped now, right? But yeah, with this, we're going to create the ammonia. And, you know, by the way, the ammonia creation is in the middle, then it goes into those storages. I want to, you know, it's like I often do. One is I like to have storages so we can put some alerts. And secondly, it helped me to make it kind of a rectangle. So we want to create the ammonia, right? And the ammonia is that one there at the bottom. And it requires 2 things. It requires nitrogen and hydrogen. Now the nitrogen, there is actually 2 ways for us to make it. The first one is with the air separator. The second one is by destroying ammonia. But that's gonna defeat the purpose, right? Because we're trying to create ammonia. So we can't really use the second one, and therefore we have to use the first one of the air separator, which is what you can see over here. We have some air separator that are going to create oxygen and nitrogen. It does cost again a bit of electricity and all of this, but it's honestly a really great building. We have at level 0 the oxygen, at level 1 the nitrogen, then we have 2 pipe balancer, one at level 0 and one at level 1 again, right? That says first go into those storages, create some nitrogen here, some oxygen there, and then if you're full, please go into this smokestack. It's not gonna pollute, but the key reason for this smokestack is to make sure these things never stop, right? Because we really need them to start. I mean, yes, at some point, I guess I'm going to potentially waste energy by having those ones never stop. But the key thing is I want to make sure, you know, we never have either no oxygen or no nitrogen, right? So that's why they're always working. So yes, the oxygen actually was something we needed there too, right? On top of the ammonia. So that is why it's important to also actually make it. Now, to be fair, there was another way to make oxygen, which is with the water electrolyzer. And we are actually even using that one here, right? We're using this. Actually, I could have potentially done that a bit smarter by not putting the nitrogen. So let's actually, no, too late. But yes, there is a way to improve this slightly where, you know, these ones are going to be focused just on nitrogen. And so they're going to dump the oxygen, but once we're full on nitrogen, they're going to stop and we're going to take the oxygen from here. But in this case, I did a bit the opposite where I'm saying this is always working and these ones, they're only going to focus on making the hydrogen. If I'm full on hydrogen, these ones will stop. Because yeah, we're taking some water, not a lot actually, it's only 8 for each. And we have, you know, 8 of these or 6, no, 8 of these. And it's going to create a lot of oxygen that just sends into the atmosphere and a lot of hydrogen that just goes into the storage there. And when the storage is full, this will stop. The water comes from here. And actually, this is why I put this here, because remember, we're making water from the nuclear reactors, right? This is water positive. So I'm starting to use this water over here. And yeah, that's pretty much it, you know. Oh no, sorry, we forgot one big one here, which is the final level, because this enables me to create the fertilizer tier 1, right? This, by the way, goes in the middle there, goes into the storage. But we can go to tier 2. It's not as big of a, you know, difference between the two, but it also doesn't cost that much, because to make, you know, 72 times 4, which is a huge number, right? I don't think we're gonna need that much fertilizer anytime soon. This will only require, you know, 12 times 4, so 48 of limestone and 48 of sulfur. That is why we have those two inputs over here, right? To bring it, we have, you know, the pipe of fertilizer here in the middle, and those two inputs, right? One at level 0, one at level 1, with those U-shaped balancer here. And yeah, with this, we're making tons of fluid, tons of fertilizer tier 2. And then I just need to bring this fertilizer tier 2 over here, right? This is gonna go into this pipe there, into all of these inputs there. So we're gonna do that in a second. I'm unpausing now, but I wanted to show you that yes, this was a really powerful production. I think don't hesitate to tell me in the comments below if you have any ways to make this even better or any, you know, suggestion. But as you can see, in just like not even a couple of minutes, like really quickly, this whole thing is full. And now we're gonna fill this. We're gonna fill the storage of hydrogen. We will slowly but surely also probably get some more fertilizer organic, in particular, as we're gonna stop basically, you know, I can also click here and say stop throwing. Additionally, I just finished the ramp over here, looking good, like really cool looking ramp that gets us into this new place here, which has a lot of trees. So pressing H, we're gonna want to cut them all. I've basically stopped, you know, the cutting on this side. It's actually going to help us to regrow a bit, and we're going to, you know, get a lot of trees. We're gonna put them in storage. It also gives me access to 2 new mines, a mine for copper and iron, as well as, this is limestone, I'm guessing. Yes, this is limestone. So that is really pretty cool. I think basically if we want to access it kind of nicely, we probably want to go on this side here. So the question is, do we dump or do we dig? And you know me, I'm all about digging more than dumping to help us kind of get everything flat. So that's probably gonna be one of our next projects. We're also slowly but surely, right, getting progress over here. I see we're actually also, yes, there is some limestone at the bottom over here, so that's interesting. But we're gonna do this. Let's actually do it together quickly. This is at level 4. Here we are also at level 4 actually, so that works perfectly. The only thing is, if I go through here, I'm gonna have a lot of limestone. So I'm gonna need to store it. If I go through here, there's potentially nothing in my way. So maybe this is more where we're gonna go. So we say, okay, we're gonna want to go all the way there. And then maybe over here, it's almost like a tunnel, you know? We're making a tunnel here. I don't know what's gonna happen to those trees, to be honest, but that's fine. Okay, and then we just need probably to move these closer. Like this is way too far for the trucks to have to go. So moving that here, we're going to take everybody out here. Thank you. We can pause that guy, and instead let's build this. Let's assign all of my diggers. Okay. And sorry, last thing is obviously we're gonna want to edit the area to focus on this piece here. Let me do something a bit sneaky like that. Yep, and done. Okay, so they're gonna start digging there. Perfect. You can see they're coming. We may want to put these. We may want to add limestone to this guy. Like this guy, you're gonna be. I'm gonna allow you to be limestone, just in case, you know, we find a bit of limestone on the way. Now let's look at our research, because we have done a lot of research while I was working on the nuclear reactor. We've actually finished, you know, as you can see, most of this research over here, and we're getting stuck there. We're getting stuck by the nuclear reactor, we need to actually have 200 of accumulated spent fuel to be able to do that research, but actually we're almost there. So we may want to do that one soon. So let's take this out. So as soon as we're ready, we can do that one. Then here, crew station will require a space station, which is that research there, which I'm not ready to do at all, to be honest. Like there's a lot of things we're gonna need to do before. And then on this side, it is going to require electronics level 3. I feel like we just made electronics level 2, which is sort of true, you know, it was over here. It's not that far, but there was definitely a lot of research. So let's take a quick look at this research. We have medical supply level 2, for example. We have the mega vehicle, which is where there's one of the main thing I don't really like. I'll explain in a second. We have the chemical plant level 2, which we actually started to use already, right? This gave us access to pretty much the same recipe we already had before, just at a way higher throughput, right? To create ammonia, for example, or others. So that one, we can take it out. We have the CO2 recycling, using CO2 to make the graphite. That's going to be a really important one for arc furnaces. And speaking of arc furnaces, we have unlocked the arc furnace level 2. So let's actually, build one together. I can't do it from here. I can't do it from here either. That's sometimes strange, but anyway, so we can build it there. Let me show you, compare to the other ones quickly. So we have the blast furnace level 2 that we're using right now. This is 18 people, no energy at all, right? That's the key thing, is there's no energy at all in this. Versus these ones, they cost a lot of energy. We're talking about 4 megawatts for the arc furnace level 1. We're talking about 6 megawatts for the level 2. It does take a few less people, right? 14 instead of 18. And it produces the exact same amount. This is 48, right, of molten iron. This is 48 of molten iron. So you may be wondering, why would you ever do it? Well, the main reason is this is really based on coal, while this one over here is actually based on graphite. And as I just mentioned, we can now make graphite out of carbon dioxide. So it is kind of like the non-polluting way, if you wish, right? This is the non-polluting way. It even creates a lot less exhaust, and it creates a bit of steam law that can then be used to do a lot of things, right? We can use it to create, for example, a lot of water with this, or potentially even some power. So that is why some people really like those arc furnaces. I do have to be honest, I feel like 6 megawatt is a lot. Like, to me, they're not really that worth it. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, but like 6 megawatt is way too much for the same, production. It's 48 for both. If it was like a better efficiency, for example, right, of, I don't know, you're using 48 in both, but here you're getting 60 or more, then totally makes total sense. But now with this, I don't know, it just doesn't make that much sense to me, I personally think. But yeah, we've unlocked this, and we will definitely do, by the way, this. But again, the graphite, creating graphite out of carbon dioxide is great to be able, to not pollute with carbon dioxide. But then we need to use it, and realistically, right now, it's mostly used by all those arc furnaces. It will be used also a bit into this new production there, but we haven't really started that. So it's not like I can just transform everything into graphite. Unless, is there a contract for graphite now? I didn't actually, no. There is no contract for graphite. At least none that we have found yet. That could be good. That could be cool. So that was one more over here. Then we have the huge storages, right? For all three, like the unit, the loose, and the fluid. So tier 4, instead of 2,500, it's gonna be 5,000 in one of these. And this is, by the way, what I've built over here, right? Wait, there. These ones are 5,000. So this is huge. This is huge. Very happy with that. So we're gonna use them, of course, more and more. Similarly, we've unlocked the cargo depot level 6 and 8. So if I look at this one there, right, for example, you cannot actually upgrade it. What you have to do is you have to delete it and then rebuild, which is one of the things I don't love. I'm not too sure why they did that, but you know, basically the point is right now we have 4 of these modules. We're gonna be able to have 6 or 8. So definitely useful into the future. And then, you know, this is where we really get into the new stuff. Both new stuff that wasn't part of update 2, like aluminium is completely new, and also new stuff in terms of we're moving into robotic, which will require computing, moving into rocket assembly. So there's a lot of things there, but I don't think we're ready for it yet. I'd rather do a couple of these at the bottom, and in particular the mega vehicles. Now, talking about those mega vehicles, as I said, there is one thing here that I really don't like, is that we're getting dump truck, right? Whole truck dump and whole truck tank. These ones are huge, 180 instead of the 60 of the tier 2. But this can only transport loose products, you know, like your mining products. And I actually feel like at the end of the game, you're transporting less and less of these because they come from boats, you have your belts. So I feel like those trucks are less important at that point. And you don't have, you know, those trucks cannot transport your unit products, your things like electronics, your construction materials, your household goods, all of those things, they really can't transport them. So you have to be careful not to upgrade all of your trucks, because then you'll be stuck. And additionally, again, like I just said, for me, I feel like those ones are a lot less important end game. The only place where they are important is for things like this, right? Like, yes, I'm digging like crazy, sending it here, and then taking the resources from here to dump them into the ocean. Having some big truck there will help. But it's not as useful, again, as I feel we could have for endgame. I guess this is also because endgame was supposed to really move into the trucks, not the trucks, sorry, the trains, right? So that's why I feel like one of my, oh yeah, here, look, they have been able to go down and go there to start digging from the other side of the mountain. That is pretty cool, but I don't think you should, guys. Like, just focus actually on this side. Like, this doesn't make sense for you to go all the way there. Just dig your way through it one tile at a time. But yeah, now that we have, you know, a lot of fertilizer, I'm going to pipe it to all of this, and I'll show you in a second what that means. And it is, ladies and gents, it's flowing. Look at this, all the way over here, and then on both sides, right? One on this side, one on that side. This is a pipe level 3, so we're talking about 450, so totally overkill. Because look at this. This is one over here is using what? 4.6 of fertilizer. This one 4.62 because it's the same. 4.6 because it's the same. This one is different. But it's actually also 4.6. Interesting. And this is not normal. Why is that full? What's going on here? Oh, look at this. Here we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. This is not connected. Not good. Not good. It is somewhat hard to get there sometime. But here it is. Up. Come on. You can do it. Yes. Okay, so finally let me check all of them, because now I'm starting to understand why I was low on vegetables and fruits. They don't seem to be moving. So that means there's a problem somewhere. Oh, it is. Damn. So actually, maybe I didn't even need this fertilizer, but it was a fun side project, don't you think? So this one is fine. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think we're gonna get a lot of vegetables and fruits. It's moving now. Good, good. Slowly. This one is not level 2 for some reason. Let's press I. Up, up, and then you. Done. Okay, so yes, with this we're gonna make tons of food. And to be very clear, you can see the difference, right? Like, without fertilizer, we're talking about 3.8 of wheat and 3.9 of vegetables, for example, over here. I move to 100%, what I went 5.8 and 6. So we've almost doubled, right? And I can even get to 140 because I'm using fertilizer level 2, right? Tier 2. So we can go to all the way to 140. At that point, of course, we're gonna need more fertilizer, right? Talking about 8 instead of 4, basically, in this case, but we've really almost like triple our production now, right? So that's definitely going to enable us to have a really huge boost of productions. And yeah, I mean, most of our production were full anyway. It was just the vegetables and fruits that was the problem. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna need to rebuild that one anytime soon. I actually thought we had to rebuild it very soon, but I think we're fine. I think we're fine. So I'm very happy there. I'm also very happy to tell you that we have now 200 or more than 200 of spent fuel in our storage there. So I've been able to start the reactor level 2, nuclear reactor level 2, where we're gonna be able to start doing something with that spent fuel. To be precise, we're going to transform it into two things, plutonium and fission products. But that will be, unfortunately, in the next episode. I hope you're still enjoying this one. Do tell me in the comments below any questions, photo requests that you have. And there's still so much we have to do, so much new things, right? Like offices, this is completely new thing. Luxury good, this is also new. Aluminium, completely new. And there is so much there, like those space station, cruise station, completely new. All of this here didn't exist before, right? So we're gonna have so much fun still. And remember that you can find blueprints on my Discord community.